Hey, what's up, guys? Well, that didn't take long for a comment to come onto the last video about my discussion of the Whigs to the Republicans and wherever we're at now. Haas came up and he put out a comment that was, I love it, love the brevity of the comment. You're discussing the paint color of the car and I'm discussing the engine. Okay, well, let's dissect that a little further. Yeah, I was talking about names and kind of like where the different parties came from, how one became the other, and so on and so forth. But there's a lot more depth to that. I just went with a very high level. They changed in a whole philosophy of, like, their whole philosophy as a group changed between the Whigs and the Republicans. And if you had read any of CEO Unicom's comments, that might have been a little bit more apparent. I didn't really go after it that hard. I figured maybe if you guys were interested, you'd go read it. But let's talk about engine now. So when you say, "Oh, you're discussing the engine," that means that you either don't like the way that our engine works today, you don't like what it runs off of, or it doesn't work at all and it needs to be replaced. The level of severity with the engine, it requires a replacement. And I understand that. I understand your point about there needs to be a great rewriting of things, or rebuilding, if it were. My friend, good friend of mine, he always talks about, we're going to need a major reset for things to ever get worked out. Because, and this is his quote, because a lot of shitheads need to die. That's very, very black and white. And to go that way and to really sell yourself on that idea and how hard that is going to be for everybody, it's going to be a lot easier for some of us. And I imagine most of the people that we communicate with on YouTube are going to be a little bit easier off. Or maybe not. Maybe they're exactly the kind of people who can't handle that kind of thing. But I feel at least that the people who talk about this stuff on YouTube probably have a little bit more of an ability of dealing with it if things were to ever happen. However, there's going to be a whole lot of good people that won't be able to deal with it when it happens. And does that mean we need to look into things a little bit further? Do we owe the common man a little bit of say, really hard work and possibly multi-generational work? Because if you go for the great upheaval method, it's going to be generations worth of work before we get back to a point of, when we get back to a culture of abundance, right? So you get to liberty, and then, the liberty is the freeing of the people, and then abundance. Go back and read my steps in a nation. But let's talk briefly about a situation that has been it's been going on for decades, right? Gun rights, and how the Second Amendment is viewed in the country has changed a lot in this last century, and it's continuing to change. We in California are fighting for more gun rights, but I understand that where this country was at 60 years ago, for example, or even more, was less gun rights than we have today. Now, let me be clear. In the community level, things probably weren't very affected. You could probably pretty much have all the rights you needed, so on and so forth. But the actual mindset of the people was towards more gun rights. There probably was more gun rights for individuals, but the people, in a majority sense, wanted there to be more gun laws. They didn't want more gun rights. They wanted more gun restrictions and laws concerning guns and changes to the systems that would prevent people from having guns. A lot of the reasons why we have these background checks and so on and so forth is because of the way gun purchasing worked back then. And it was because people wanted it changed. Well, what happened was, to change the mindset of the culture, to get back into this personal freedom, personal responsibility, personal safety mindset, was the NRA changed from being a mainly sporting institution about the use of guns in sport to the use of guns as a lifestyle, or the use of guns as a self-defense thing. They still maintain their great heritage of sporting, but they changed their discussion, their battle rhythm, to use the term again, into being all also about firearms is important to personal safety. They also changed everything that goes along with that. They didn't just, scream into the echo chamber. They went and, lobbied for the things that they believe. And that has started to change since the 70s, a lot of viewpoints and views on guns. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we need the great upheaval to get more and more of our gun rights back? Well, the fact is that we are getting more and more of our gun rights back. For some of us, it's not fast enough, and that's true. But if the only way to speed it up is to tear everything down, then you kind of have a problem of you're not really doing this based off of the people. The people right now don't want things torn down. And that's kind of seen in all the ways that the government tries to touch the butterfly wings of the economy and make it fail, right, in different ways. But they're doing that not because they actually understand it. They don't, far from it. They're doing it because they want to ensure that there won't be a collapse of any kind. Anyway, engine goes vroom vroom. I would like to change the spark plugs and potentially clean the carburetor before we swap it with something else. All right, guys, take it easy. Hey, what's up, guys? I wanted to talk about something else of the kind of a transformational point of the country back in the 1830s to 50s regarding the Whigs again. The Democrats at the time, or the Democrat group, was pro-agriculture, living off the land, working with your hands and making something. The Whig Party was your party of the industrial system, the building of technology, the formation of transport, even, a national transport, as much as I don't like the idea. It is advancing where we are at as a society, right? We're increasing the technology mainly through the use of steam, so on and so forth. Why I want to talk about it is that's kind of different from what the Democrats versus Republicans would have you believe today. And I'm not saying that the Republicans don't feel this way. It's just that what seems to be guising or obscuring that ideal system of progressiveness through technology or increases in efficiencies in the ways of doing things is this need that the Republicans seem to have regarding the drumbeat of social issues. They really spend a lot of time going off on these social issues and going off on these religious issues that really are important. They're important. They're the most important thing for people. They absolutely are from a belief and spiritual point of view. But you can't touch it. You can't touch it as though you would capital or the land that you own or the products that you make and sell. Those things are affected by how the Republicans should be discussing the economy. And not only, of course, things are going to come up, but the whole view should be on the picture painted about the economy, what's wrong with it, and how it needs to change. I watched Romney's speech last night with my wife, and I wasn't discouraged at all by it. I think I think the campaign's going to be fine. I'd rather vote for him than Obama, let me put it that way, but I don't think he's like my guy in everything. But I don't think there's a my guy in anything anyway. But what I noticed is that everything has become so high level when you discuss these things. When politicians get in front of others and they discuss these things, everything is so high level. I remember listening to Nixon's speech on taking America off the gold standard. I didn't like what he was saying, but he took the time to go at a less elementary level when he was discussing things with us. Us, the American people. So what does that mean? Does that mean that because of our drive for these social issues, religious and social issues, that the major political groups thinks we have like really dumbed down our economic prowess. Has the bubble of 2008 and the housing bubble and all that good stuff proven to the government that we're not capable of having an economic discussion that will bear any fruit? That's what bugs me. When you're in a, going back to the distinction of what we should be talking about, right? When the government spends its time talking about how it wants social issues to be handled, you're already in a situation of them looking at you as an object. The difference between an economy and the discussion of an economy and what's right and wrong there is a subjective thing. You can have a difference of opinion. And in some ways, some decisions are equal. They're only seen differently over time. However, a discussion of the hearts and minds and your ideals and your social standings would require that if we keep talking about this and we keep trying to push our ideas out there in the terms of form of law, then we are disenfranchising or violating some maybe personal freedoms of other individuals. Now, that's less likely when you start talking about the economy, but the economy is what allows all these other discussions to happen, pretty much. I don't know if that did the job. I don't think it did. I think I miffed that pretty hard. But the idea is clear that if all the government does is get in front of you and talk about, well, this guy wants to take your babies away, or this guy wants to get rid of, social funding, or this guy doesn't believe in mass transit for everybody, and it's on both sides, or this guy wants children to go to bed hungry, which is my favorite Howard Dean line of all time. His comment, well, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is the Democrats don't want kids going hungry at night. It's like, God, see, that kind of stuff, nobody really thinks this way. Nobody really, there's no Republican, or maybe there is, but that's not the group. We should be talking about how we make the economy better, how we get more people involved in the economy, not let's talk about social issues, don't discuss the elephant in the room, let's talk about Obamacare. It's important, we should, but we got a lot of other shit to get out of the way first. So, all right, guys, take it easy.